Welcome to orientation. My name is Nyla. I'm going to be guiding you through orientation today, so let's get started. So first of all, welcome. We're super excited to have you today. The first thing we're going to cover is a general introduction to who we are and what we do here at Home Care Assistance. We'll go through our policies and procedures. We'll talk about how to clock in and clock out properly so that way you can get paid. We'll talk about the benefits that you have now that you're an employee. We'll also go through what the next steps are going from here. One of the biggest things is that you are going to be required to complete an orientation quiz. Once you complete this orientation, make sure you're paying attention. If you're somebody who's listening to this, but you're not actually focusing and paying attention, stop. Find a time that you can focus and actually listen to this deeply and thoroughly, and then revisit it. So let's get started. Again, congratulations on being selected. At this point, you've already gone through a phone screening and an in-person interview. We have picked you because of your skills and your ability and your professionalism. We know that you'll continue to maintain that high level of professionalism where we send you to a home or a facility. Like I said, we'll go through all of our policies and procedures and what makes us unique when it comes to client care. It is your responsibility to read all documents, policies, and handbooks that we provide for you and make sure you're asking questions. You will be scheduled for another in-person meeting with your employee manager to talk about any additional questions and to finish up any paperwork that you may have to do. It's a good time to write down any questions and make sure that you ask them. After orientation, you are considered ready to work, but Home Care Assistance does not consider you an official employee until you work your first assignment. You will be paid $30 for completing orientation, which includes completing the quiz, and you'll receive that on your first paycheck. Again, you cannot be paid for orientation until you work your first assignment, and you'll receive that on your first paycheck. Employment with Home Care Assistant is contingent on a clean background check and a drug screening, which we will complete for you. We do require that you turn in a TB skin test within the first 30 days of employment. You are also required to keep up-to-date car insurance, and we'll get more into a little bit more detail of that in the future, but I'd like to at least go ahead and preference it. If you remember, I said that you will be taking an orientation quiz, and I want to kind of get your mindset into recognizing what could be a question. For example, one of the very first questions is going to say, will I get paid for attending orientation? And as you can tell, orientation is paid at $30 on your first paycheck. So the question is going to say, will I be paid for attending orientation, true or false? And the answer will be true, exactly. So that's kind of an idea of what to be looking for as we go through this information. We are an equal opportunity employee. If you have any disabilities that need to be accommodated for, please let us know. We take that very seriously. We want to make sure that we're accommodating for that. We do have a zero tolerance policy for harassment. If you're being harassed in the workplace, please notify myself or one of your employee managers immediately so we can make sure that is stopped. You can always communicate with our office. We have our phone lines open day and night. We're here to fully support you. Just make sure that you're calling the office number so we can get you taken care of. Our mission here at Home Care Assistance is to change the way that the world ages. We know that people are happier and healthier in their own homes, and we want to provide that very high quality of care, that we're very positive and loving approach. We know that we are distinguished by our caregivers. So when you guys come in to care for somebody with a very positive, loving attitude, it translates to them, and they can feel that love and they can feel that positive energy, and it really does affect their care and how they feel about you as well. So we are a non-medical companionship service. It's important that you know that we are non-medical. That is going to be a question on your quiz. True or false? We provide medical companionship service. False. We do not provide medical services. We are a non-medical entity. We do help with ADLs and IDLs, everything from personal care, grooming, toileting, dressing, helping them with meals, cooking meals, helping them get around their home with mobility and walking, whether that's using gait belts, Hoyer lifts, helping them with transfers, doing medication reminders, light housekeeping, laundry, helping them do errands, things of that nature. But we are a non-medical service. However, there are some exclusions with us being non-medical when it comes to medications and medication dispensing. Typically, medications will already be laid out for you, so you don't have to physically touch them. If there is ever a situation to where you are required to maybe crush up someone's medication to maybe put it in an applesauce or a pudding, we will have documents for you to sign. We'll make sure that you feel fully trained. We're not just going to be like, oh, by the way, you'll need to crush, 2 pills every day and feed it to the client. We'll make sure that you've, received the proper training and documentation before you do that. One of the biggest things with us being non-medical is that we cannot diagnose or treat our clients. It does not matter what your certification, CNA, RN, EMT, you cannot diagnose or treat our clients at all. We see a lot of UTIs in this field. We know what they need to do. We know the signs and symptoms. However, the only thing we can do in that situation is, hey, I recognize that there could be a UTI going on. Do you mind if I help you, the family, make a doctor's appointment for your loved one so that they can get seen by a medical professional? If you ever have to ask yourself if you're doing something you're not supposed to, make sure you're asking. We want to make sure that we are staying within our realm of practice, our scope of practice as a non-medical care provider. So the next thing we're going to talk about is balance care. This is really big. This is what we're mostly about. So I'm going to pull up the balance care video. So if you'll give me just a second. The balance care method is something that's been researched for a long time, and I think it really gives you a good idea of who we are here at Home Care.
Amid the tall citrus trees of Okinawa, Japan, Suni Ganaha is busy picking fruit as she does 8 hours every day. It's not what she does, but who she is that's remarkable. I just turned 90, she says. Age 90, climbing tree after tree, hauling down bags of fruit, and doesn't remember a day she's ever been sick in her nearly 70 years on this farm. Ganaha's 54 and 61-year-old daughters say good luck trying to get her to retire. We can't stop her, they say. And why would they? She's the best climber in the family. Ganaha is just one of many very active seniors in their 90s and 100s in the town of Ogimi, defying the physical odds of age. Here they run. They dance. In a culture where Alzheimer's, cancer, and heart disease is unheard of among these elders. We met 96-year-old Toyohide Taira, who loves to flirt with the ladies, who tells young people, don't get married. You'll be sick of your spouse when you're 90.
If you're looking for a place that has that right mix of factors, then you've come to the right place.
Gerontologist Craig Wilcox has been studying longevity in Okinawa for 15 years, an island that has the highest percentage of centenarians anywhere in the world. He points to a number of factors. The Okinawan diet, very low in fat, salt, and sugar. This traditional lunch plate is filled with papaya, tofu, and dark leafy vegetables. At this weekend event, they snack on citrus fruits and sip unsweetened green tea. They exercise and work well into old age. There's a good, affordable healthcare system that focuses on prevention and a strong sense of community that values optimism, where older people remain active and respected. Wilcox says any community can replicate this.
We still refer to these types of diseases as age-associated disease back in North America. Well, people don't do that anymore here. There's tremendous amount of control that people have over these diseases if they live the right lifestyle.
Just like this?
Hi.
So you eat this as you're working?
Hi.
Suni Ganaha's family swears by a daily dose of Okinawan citrus. Sour. But more importantly, working and being close to family. A recipe she says will keep her hiking these hills for more years to come. Kyungwon.
So that is what the balance care method is based off of. There has been tons of research done showing what can happen when someone lives a very balanced lifestyle. So let's go into the specifics of why we embrace this balanced method. Most companies that are like ours that provide home care are there to provide some ADL or IADL. So they're there to make sure that you're getting a bath, you're making sure you're eating a meal, making sure that you have a clean bottom, things of that nature. We want to take it a step further. We want to emphasize the relationship that we have with that person, their longevity, and their overall quality of life that they have. We really want them to thrive. We also want you as a caregiver to thrive. We want you to feel positive and happy and that you want to go to work every day. We want our caregivers to have this whole person approach to care, because not only does it affect their care, but it affects how you mentally and physically and socially feel about your job, and it affects how they physically, emotionally, and socially feel about having their livelihood and having you as a caregiver. Here is the link to that video if you'd like to go back and watch it at any time. Like I said, this is something that has been researched for years by home care assistants. If you want to, like I said, watch it again, it's on YouTube. Just Google Balanced Care Method, Home Care Assistants, or Balanced Care Method, and you can bring up that video. So here is the main focus and key components of the Balanced Care Method: a healthy diet, physical activity, a sharp mind, social ties, and then calmness and purpose. When it comes to a healthy diet, we all know what we should and shouldn't be eating. When it comes to a senior, they're not eating as often. The quality and the nutrition that they do get is essential. So you have to think about it in their mindsets. They're not eating as big of a meal. They're not eating as often. And when they are eating, we've really got to focus on the quality of food that they are getting in. Why might they not be eating as often? Their appetite changes. Your taste buds change every 7 years. So think about it. Think about something 14 years ago that you didn't like that you may like now. It's the same thing. Our taste and smell changes. So you have to keep that in mind. A lack of companionship, especially for females. We associate food with companionship. Think about it. You're used to making a meal, sitting down with your family, having that, family-oriented dinner. So they still have that as a component in their life. So it's important that we take a pause when it comes time to eat, sit down, have a conversation, have a meal with them, because it really just brings back that joy and brings back that want and joy to eat again. Clients who have some form of dementia, they may not understand that it's been hours or days since they've eaten. They may not understand that that bag of chips is nutrients that they can eat. So we have to be the ones to show them that that food is for them. So take that extra step. Open up the yogurt for them. Put a spoon in it. Hey, Miss So-and-so, I brought you some yogurt. It's so delicious. I've heard that you really like yogurt. Open up a bag of chips, put them in a bowl, present them with the chips. I've brought you a snack, or I brought us a snack. Would you like to try one of our snacks? Try to present it to them in a way that is more encouraging and not just something closed off that they don't know that it is food for them. Their bodies don't absorb and process food the way that ours do. So it's really important that we focus on that quality of food. Vitamins are another big thing. If you guys didn't know, there are water-soluble vitamins and there are fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A, D, E, and K are not water-soluble. They're fat-soluble. So if you take any of those four on an empty stomach, they're going to pass right through you and usually cause things like diarrhea. So if you notice that your client gets bowel issues after taking their morning medication, it could be because they don't have enough substance on their belly before they're taking those meds. So make sure they're eating something, whether it's some crackers, a banana, something to get some substance in their belly before they're taking them. A lot of our clients will take K because that's potassium, and usually you need potassium for heart issues. Vitamin D, especially for females, we need vitamin D to help with our vitamin C absorption. So just, keep that kind of stuff in mind. Hydration is a big one. Make sure that you are keeping them hydrated. They get dehydrated a lot faster than we do. Push water, Gatorade, black teas, green teas. Anything that you can think of to keep them hydrated throughout the day. If there's somebody who doesn't really like to drink, find new and exciting things. Maybe a smoothie, maybe a protein shake. Again, anything that you can think to try to get nutrition in their body and keep them hydrated the best that you can. Physical activity is a big one. There is a huge miscommunication where people think, oh, well, older people don't need to get out of their chairs and they don't need to move because if they get up and move, they're going to fall. That is not true. What happens is when they sit in a chair all day and they don't get up and move, their muscles and their ligaments start to get stiff and tight. The same thing for you and I. If we're not up physically moving, our joints, our muscles and stuff start to atrophy. The more that we get up, the more that we move, the better and limber we become. And it's very important that we keep them up and keep them moving, because if we don't, when they do finally get up, that's typically when they're having their falls. Because again, not moving, they're losing muscle strength, bone density, flexibility, etc. Exercising helps avoid falls. Falls is the leading killer of seniors over the age of 85. We don't want them falling and getting hurt. We don't want them being on their own, so we want to make sure that we're keeping them physically active to keep them going as long as we can. Clients who have Alzheimer's or some form of dementia need a lot of physical activity. At some point, you guys will go through a class called Enhanced Dementia Training, which you'll learn about all the different types of, or many of the different types of dementia and what's going on in their brain. When someone has a form of dementia, they need a lot of physical activity. Even if it's just going for a daily walk, it makes a huge difference in their aggression and their lashing out. Exercises help. It helps with depression and you keep them off of anti-depression medication. And the biggest thing is it's never too late to start. We have clients who come to care with us that don't get up and don't walk any. They just kind of sit in their chair. They don't do anything all day. Start slow, start easy. We have a list of at-home exercises that we can provide. Start with little things like have them sit in their chair and just have them kick their legs up and down. Have them march up and down while sitting there. Have them punch at the air. And then eventually have them stand up and sit down. That's a squat. And eventually they can start walking to and from the bathroom, up and down the hall, and just little things. And before you know it, they're walking and doing great, and they're using a rollator, and they don't need your complete assistance because they're doing on their own, or they only need partial assistance. So again, encourage them to be physically active. Take it slow. Make sure you're providing hands-on assistance, but encourage them. It's the best thing that you can do for them is keep them physically active. The next one is a sharp mind. The Balanced Care Method seeks to help people keep engaged as long as possible. A lot of times when we get bored, especially older people, they take unnecessary naps throughout the day. Think about it. Usually, Mamaw, Pawpaw, I don't know about y'all, but I had that Mimi that had her morning shows. She'd watch her morning shows. She'd have her lunch. She'd have her afternoon snack or her lunch, and then she'd take her a little nap again, and then she'd take her dinner, and then she'd go to bed early, and then she'd be up super early, and it was just over and over again. And she wouldn't sleep all night because she was sleeping throughout the day. If we keep those people physically stimulated throughout the day and mentally stimulated, they're not taking those unnecessary naps. So how can you keep them engaged? Skill-based games, checkers, chess, Uno, any type of card game that you can think of, a jigsaw puzzle. Ask them about historical events. Pull out old pictures and memories. If they have a hobby that they used to do, a lot of them like to knit. A lot of them like to paint. Any type of hobby that you have, you can introduce it to them. We have some that play music. Have them teach you how to do something. Even if you already know how, just still let them have that moment to teach you how to do something. Mental training in old age can boost intellectual powers and help maintain mental function like problem solving, reverse memory decline. An active mind is a healthy mind. So again, we want to encourage to keep their brain functioning, whatever it takes. Even getting them out and going to places to, stimulate their mind, getting out and just riding in the car, that can be great for them. The next one is social ties, which ties into that. Many of you know COVID was a very lonely time for everybody, especially for seniors. When we're not keeping engaged with people, we get a lot of depression, a lot of stress, and a lot of loneliness and sadness. We want to make sure that we are keeping them connected as possible. With their own family, that can look like helping them write birthday cards to their loved ones, helping them write letters, helping them do FaceTime taking them to a worship service, taking them to a senior group like the Sportsplex, the Silver Sneaker group, taking them to see a play, taking them to an art club, taking them out to a dinner, anything that keeps them connected to other people, whether that's, people of their own age, their own family, or just something to get them out and keep them social with other people. If you guys ever need ideas and tips on what to do or how to keep these people engaged, just ask. That's all you have to do. We can always come up with fun and new innovative ideas. All you have to do is ask. The next one is calmness and purpose. When our stress levels go extremely high, our health suffers. Our immune system starts to crash. A good way to think about this is the holidays. I don't know about you guys, but I get super stressed about the holidays. There's so many things going on. I need to be here. I need to be there. Did I get all the presents that I need to get for everybody? And then I usually get sick because my stress levels are so high that my immune system crashes. The same thing is for our clients. If you notice that they get stressed out after being on the phone with their bank or with their children and they're talking about finances, have a game plan. What are you going to do to kind of help bring them back to calm? Are you going to go out for a walk? Are you going to tell them, hey, maybe you need to spend some time in prayer or meditation? Are you going to already have Elvis lined up and, play Elvis whenever they get off the phone? You'll get to know your client and you'll know what kind of helps them de-stress. So just kind of keep those things in mind. We don't want them stressed out and upset because then their immune system crashes and it's a lot harder for them to get over and fight diseases than it is for us. And then the last one is purpose. We want them to always feel useful. Our job is to not go in and just take over and just be there to do everything for them. Our job is to assist them. So assisting them in the shower, assisting them with meals, assisting them, doing their normal errands. So for an example, if you're going to help with a meal, maybe you're the one who washes the dishes, but have them sit beside you in a chair and have them dry everything off, and maybe they help assist you put everything away. If you're going to be doing their laundry, hey, will you help me put all these away? Or if you'll put everything on the hangers, I'll be happy to hang everything up. So they're still actively engaged in everything that you're doing. You're not just taking over completely. Let them do it as much as they can. We're there just to assist with them. Help them maintain their hobbies. If they say, oh, I used to go get my hair done every 2 weeks, but, it's just gotten so hard for me to get out and go. Hey, that's what I'm here to do. I would love to help you go. The little things like that make a big difference. Help them maintain that. And then try to introduce new things to them. Hey, we're already out getting your hair done. How about every 2 weeks when we go to get your hair done, what if we also go to a restaurant and have, fancy hair day and fancy dinner day? That is super encouraging, and it gives them a reason to want to get out and want to go do those things. So it gives them a purpose. So keep that kind of stuff in mind. That's really our main goal, is a balanced approach to care. We want to be loving. We want to be positive. We want to be those caregivers who really make a difference because that's our job. You chose this field because you love people and you want to love on people. And so this is just a way for you to continue to do that and a little bit of guidance on how to do it even more. So we have a lot of Alzheimer and dementia clients. We have 2 different programs that you will go through. The first one is our cognitive therapy method, and the second one is our enhanced dementia training. The reason that we require all of our caregivers to go through this is because 80 to 90% of our clients have some form of dementia. So let's break down what the different types of what the difference is between Alzheimer's and dementia. Now, there is normal memory loss. We all have normal memory loss. So that's mild forgetfulness, taking normal, longer than normal to learn new things and having some difficulties recalling familiar things. Now, dementia is not a disease. Think of dementia as an umbrella. Dementia is just kind of a broad general term where all these other diseases kind of fall under. It's a set collective of symptoms marked by memory loss. Now, Alzheimer's is an actual disease, and there's different stages of it. And that's typically the one that we hear the most. There's everything from, vascular dementia, there's Lewy body disease, there's frontal temporal dementia. There's so many different types that we'll cover whenever we go through those classes together, and what the best recommendations are for each of those people that we work with and how to best approach those clients, because they need to be approached in different ways depending on what type of dementia, Alzheimer's that they have. What can our caregivers do? We can decrease their overstimulation. We can decrease clutter. We can provide them with rest periods. We can simplify tasks. We can limit choice, and we can provide good nutrition. And again, we'll go into the specifics of how you can do this as a caregiver. We like to at least start that conversation now, so that you have a little bit of an understanding of, hey, the likelihood of me working with somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia is pretty high, but my agency is well versed in Alzheimer's and dementia, and they're going to make sure that I feel confident and comfortable going into care for those people. Again, cognitive therapy method is a skill-based game that we teach you. So it's keeping them mentally stimulated, and giving you an activity to do with them, so you're not always having to come up with activities yourself. The enhanced dementia and Alzheimer's training is where we talk about the different types, how to approach somebody, what the different ways to provide rest, to provide, rest periods and better nutrition, and what type of physical activity, and if they're acting this way, how should you react, and when to provide this and when to provide that. So again, we'll get you signed up for that, and I promise you don't want to miss out on that. It really changes your mind and how you perceive care with people. So now let's get into our policies and procedures. Again, it is your responsibility to read through all the policies and procedures. I will provide this handbook for you. It looks exactly like this, has this exact picture on there. Failure to comply with any policy and procedure can result in a verbal or written warning, suspensions, termination, or penalties. Again, for full details, read the policy and procedure handbook that has been provided to you. Your primary point of contact is your employee care manager. You are employed by home care assistants. You are not employed by your client. The best way to think about this is if your hours need to change, you have questions about your pay, your clients have questions for you about something, all of those need to come here to the office. Let us be the ones to manage all of those. Most of the time, your client's family have no idea. Any questions, concerns, changes that need to be made need to come here to the office, specifically to your employee manager. You may not work privately for any past, present, or future home care assistant client. Let's say a client or a client's family approaches you and says, hey, we want to hire you privately out from underneath home care assistants. You need to come let us know immediately. There is a fine associated. Clients will be fined for $10,000. You as a caregiver will be fined for $5,000. You are locked in at a 1-year contract, whether you quit or you are terminated from 1 year date of being fired, quit, or you're still employed. It just continues going. But you are under contract with us. And so you have signed knowing that you cannot take, or they cannot take you as a caregiver from us. So keep that in mind. If they approach you, please talk to us immediately. You are not to discuss compensation with anybody, including your clients or other coworkers. The biggest thing is that your relationship with home care assistants is just that. It's our relationship. And the best thing for you to do is keep that relationship between the two of us. If your clients have questions about your compensation, what you're being paid, it's best not to open that can of worms. If they have questions, deflect, especially those clients who have dementia and Alzheimer's. We never want to open that can of worms because the family may tell them that it's covered by insurance, or the family may not want them to know how care is being paid for. The best thing you can do is deflect and say, I don't know, we'll have to ask the office, and try to get them onto something else. You are not to make any changes to your schedule without approval from the office. Any questions about schedule changes need to come from the office. So there's 1 or 2 different ways to think about this. One, let's say that you have a doctor's appointment that you need to go to. You've got to let us know well in advance, hey, I have a doctor's appointment coming up. I need to be off, or I need to come in late or early, or whatever the situation is. And we have to approve it here at the office. You and your client can't decide, oh yeah, that's fine, you just come in whenever. We here at the office have to know what that schedule change is going to be. The same thing if the client says, hey, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Can you come in 30, 40 minutes early to help get me to that doctor's appointment? You need to tell them, hey, yeah, I'm absolutely happy to do that, but you've got to call. The client needs to call and tell the office that they need you to come in early because we have to have your schedule updated here at the office. The other thing, you cannot hire your replacement to cover your shift. So a lot of times you'll get to know other caregivers because if you work with a client who requires 24-hour care, There's anywhere from 3 to 8 of you guys that are working together to care for that one person. Let's say you need to work a second shift instead of a first shift. So you talk to the second shift caregiver and you guys are fine switching shifts with each other. If you're fine switching shifts with each other, that's fine. But you both have to come to me and say, hey, next Friday, she and I are going to switch shifts with each other. We both agree to that. And then I will update it here at the office. You can't just clock each other in and out, etc. It has to be updated here at the office. The biggest reason is whoever is listed on the schedule is the one who is responsible if an accident were to happen. Let's say you and your client agreed that it's fine for you to come in 30 minutes late. When those 30 minutes, you're not there, we're calling, trying to get a hold of you. Come to find out, the client's had an accident. You were legally on the schedule. We had no idea that you had made these prearrangements, or the client has forgotten that you all made those prearrangements, so then there's an issue. So make sure that those things are saying updated here at the office. Again, any issues that happen during your shift, you need to call the office immediately. There's questions about a bill. There's questions about your payroll. The client has an accident. The family has questions. Your schedule needs to change. Any of that stuff. All of that needs to come back here to the office, not to the client, not to their family, us at the office. Be respectful of your client's property and belongings. You wouldn't want somebody going through your underwear drawer. Don't be going through somebody else's. Respect their property and their belongings. You cannot have any personal visitors on a client's property at all, and that includes your own family. You cannot bring your kids for a special day to meet your client. Your significant other cannot bring you food to drop off food to you. There's a no-go. You cannot do that. You cannot have any personal visitors at your client's home or on their premises. When it comes to cell phone usage, make sure that your phone is put away. We are there to provide a service for somebody. So make sure that you're not on your phone. If you need to take a personal call, hey, I've got to take this. This is my child's school, or it's a family member, or it's an emergency. Step aside, take that phone call, make it brief. Make sure you can still see your client in case they were to have a fall or an accident. Have that conversation and then get back to your client. We're not paying you to be on your phone and to be texting and having conversations with other people. You are there to provide a service, and we will always find out if you are on your phone during your scheduled shift. There's always ways of finding out. So make sure that you're there and you're actually focused on them. If a client offers you food, you are more than welcome to accept it, but you cannot ask them for food. You need to make sure that you are bringing food with you. Whether you're working a 4-hour shift, an 8-hour shift, or a 12-hour shift, bring food with you. Majority of these clients have refrigerators or microwave or some form of way for you to keep your food cool or get it warmed up. It is your responsibility to bring food with you. This is not a typical 9-to-5 job where you can leave in the middle of your shift, run to Burger King, go get you a burger, and come back. You are scheduled to be there that entire time, so you've got to bring food with you. If you have any questions about what that means, please ask me here in the office. That is one of the hardest things that I have to communicate with people, is that you don't get a 30-minute lunch break. Your lunch break is during your day. So whenever they're sitting down to have a meal, you sit down and have your meal with them. So keep that in mind. You can never be under the influence of drugs or any illegal substances during working hours. You cannot drink on the clock. You cannot have any other tobacco products. If for some reason you can't make it through a shift without having something like that, you've got to come have a conversation with us. We do have the right to do alcohol and drug screenings at any time with no heads up during your employment. Another thing is, let's say you and your client go out and you have a fancy date and they offer to buy you an alcoholic beverage at like Olive Garden. You have to say no. You cannot partake in that during working hours. Never leave your client without prior authorization from home care assistance unless you are in immediate danger or feel like you are being threatened. There's a couple of ways of looking at this. The first one is, let's say that you arrive at your client's home, you knock on the door, and you can't get anybody to come to the door, and you think, well, they just don't need care today, I'll go home. You need to stay. You need to call the office. You need to say, hey, I'm here at Miss So-and-so's house. I've knocked, and I can't get them to the door. What would you like for me to do? Don't just leave. Don't just assume they don't want care. The other thing, let's say that they do come to the door and they say, oh, I canceled care today. I guess the office forgot to tell you. Again, do not leave. Call the office. Hey, my client is saying that they canceled care today. Is that true? and let us tell you, yes, maybe we forgot to tell you, or no, let's figure out what we need to do. Another one is, let's say the family shows up. The family decides, hey, we're here to spend the rest of the day with mom. We actually don't need care. We're going to go ahead and send you home early. Don't just assume great, wonderful, and head on out the door. Call the office. Let us know, hey, the daughter has showed up. The daughter said she's going to take care of her mom the rest of the day. I just wanted to call and let you guys know, what would you like for me to do? We always want to make sure that there is a plan in place. Like, yes, the daughter is going to stay all day, or hey, the daughter's only planning to stay for an hour to take her for lunch, and then they want you to come back. So that's the biggest thing, is making sure that we know what the priority is on that situation. You cannot leave them to go grab lunch. Like I said, if for some reason you forget your lunch, guess what? You've got to take them with you. If they need medications refilled and they're not feeling well, but you've got to go get that medication refilled, call us here at the office and let us know, hey, they're out of insulin, but I've got to get their insulin refilled. Katie or myself or someone here at the office is more than happy to go get the medication for them and bring it to you. Or we're more than happy to come sit with your client so that you can go run those errands. Like, we have ways of working that stuff out. Don't just leave and assume everything will be great. Make sure you're contacting us here at the office so that we can work through everything. The biggest thing is, we don't want an accident to happen when you're scheduled to be there and nobody be there to assist. Again, call the office immediately if you get to a client's home and they do not answer, or if anything out of the ordinary takes place. You may not contact your client's family on days that you are not assigned to be there. You cannot go and visit them just because you're in town. You cannot contact the family at all. We do not give out your personal information. We do not give out your last name, and we do not give out your email or your cell phone number to clients' families. The only thing we give out is your first name. Let's say your first name is Alexandria, but you prefer to go by Alex. When we say your caregiver, Alex, will be there on Monday to start, that's what we're going to tell them. We're not, unless you allow us to give, hey, they are COVID vaccinated, that kind of stuff, and we ask you up front what we are allowed to tell them. But it is your decision if you give them your cell phone number. So keep that in mind. The biggest thing is that we do not want you guys texting them back and forth. What typically happens is, hey, Alex, mom has a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Can you come in 30 minutes early? And she's sending that at midnight. There's no way you're going to be up at midnight to see that to come in at 6:30 instead of 7 o'clock. Well, now the daughter is mad at you for not responding and not coming early. The best thing you can do is let the office handle that, to not have communication, let all the communication come here through the office. So just keep that in mind. If anything out of the ordinary takes place, again, make sure you're communicating back with the office. We always want the communication to be with us, and let us be the ones to handle families, doctor's appointments, any of that stuff. And you just get to show up and care and love for that person. We'll be the ones to handle all the schedules and the changes and all of that good stuff for you. Although we are a non-medical entity, we still hold up to HIPAA standards. HIPAA means that you cannot, not ever, not once, discuss any of your client's information with anybody, not your own family, not your own friends, not previous clients, not other coworkers. You can't discuss any of it. It is between you and home care assistants. You can't talk about their medication changes. You can't talk about, well, I've noticed the last couple of days they're hallucinating more than the other. If you violate confidentiality, you will be automatically terminated. We have a zero policy for violating HIPAA. Make sure that if for some reason you and another caregiver, that if you work with the same client, you have that conversation in a secure place. So a good example is, if you work with a 24-hour client and you're doing the end of the shift check-in with each other, make sure that you're in the client's room or you're in the client's, premises to have that conversation. I would hate for two caregivers to be at Kroger in the middle of a grocery store having a conversation about a client and what's going on with the client, because you could be breaking confidentiality. So keep that stuff in mind. When it comes to communicating with home care assistants, we expect you guys to respond to phone calls, emails, and text messages in a timely manner. Most of the time, this is things like, hey, there's been a schedule change. They have a doctor's appointment in 3 days. We need you to come in at this time instead of this time. Does that work with your schedule? Hey, we're coming out today. Do you need supplies from the office? Hey, just checking in to see how your shift went. Things of that nature. If you require to take time off, you must provide a 2-week notice. We now have a time off request email, which I will provide for you here in a few slides. You will fill out the time off request Quizlet or time off sheet in order to get that approved. The biggest thing is that you have to request time off, and it has to be approved here by the office, and it has to be 2 weeks in advance. If you have a personal emergency come up, you were to get sick, somebody were to pass away, contact the office immediately. Don't wait an hour before your shift. If Meemaw passed away last night, call us as soon as you can. First and foremost, we want to make sure that you're going to be okay and that you get taken care of. And then we'll make sure on our end that the client is taken care of. If you do not arrive for your shift and you do not call us and let us know of a valid emergency, we will consider that you have no called, no showed, and you are automatically terminated from home care assistance. This is a big thing. When you are on the schedule to care from somebody, that is a contract between you and us and that client. When you accept a shift, you have verbally and usually some type of paper form agreed to work that shift. We do not leave our clients without care. Leaving them without care can be considered as elder abuse in the state of Alabama. Make sure you're communicating with us. Our phones are covered 24 hours a day. If you call and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you don't get us the first time, probably asleep, call us again. Make sure you're getting a hold of us. Don't leave a voicemail just thinking, oh, well, I texted the office or I left a voicemail. Call and verbally talk to us. Talk to your employee manager. Let us know what's going on. Again, we want to make sure you're taken care of, and then we'll make sure the client is taken care of on the back end. Again, if you do not call us and you do not show up for your scheduled shift, you'll be automatically terminated from home care assistance. Some things that we consider a legit call out: you're sick. We will ask for a medical note from your doctor, whether that's you or your child. If you have a family emergency, we have the right to ask for a funeral program. We typically don't. We find that insensitive. But if grandma has died 4 times, I'm going to start asking some questions. If there's a hospitalization, again, we have the right to ask for that information as well. Some things that we don't consider some like a legit call out. Things like flat tire and car trouble. Have a backup plan. Have a friend. Have a neighbor. The office staff here is more than happy to come and get you and take you to that shift and get you back home one time. After that, you've kind of got to figure out what your plan is for your vehicle. We want you to work. If we are willing to drive out of our way to make sure that you are at work, again, we want you to work. We're going to do what we can to help get you to work. So make sure you're taking advantage of, hey, they are willing to help me, but after today, I've got to figure out, how to get the tire changed or how to get the oil put in my car, etc. The other thing, not realizing what was involved in the case, such as a pet or distance. Before you ever accept a shift, we will send you a care plan. You will read over that care plan and you will respond to me and say, yes, I want to accept the shift. Yes, I've read the care plan. And then you will typically either have a phone call or an in-person meeting with someone here at the office to, again, go over that same care plan. And we'll ask you, do you have any questions? Do you understand there's a dog? Do you understand how far out this is? Do you understand the level of care that you're going to be providing? We're making sure, we're asking multiple times that you understand there's a dog. There's, they're all the way out in Montgomery, or they're all the way out over here. Like, we're making sure that you guys understand everything that's involved in the case. So there's no reason to get out there and be like, oh, well, I didn't know X, Y, and Z was involved in the case. We've provided a paper and a verbal confirmation from you that you did understand what was involved. Again, if you no call, no show, you will be automatically terminated from home care assistance. We are required by state and federal law to turn everything into the home care aid registry, which is considered a form of neglect. So don't put yourself at risk of losing your job and not being able to work in the field because you had something going on and you just didn't call to let us know. All call outs must be a call to the office. That's why it's called a call out. You cannot text office staff. You cannot email office staff. You cannot respond to the time off request email and be like, hey, I can't be there today. That does not work. If you know that you can't make it to a shift because you have an actual emergency going on, call the office. Talk to somebody. Verbally talk to somebody. Don't leave a voicemail. Call and talk to somebody. We are very understanding. We want to make sure that you're going to be okay. The only way we can do that is if you actually call and talk to us. So again, call the office. Our phone is covered 24 hours a day. If you have questions, please ask questions whenever you have your in-person meeting. I want you guys to understand you cannot text us. You cannot email us that you've got to be out. You've got to call the office if you have an emergency. If you start having issues with a lot of call-outs, the first instance is going to be a verbal warning, and it's going to be noted in your employee file. The second instance is a write-up. You will have a face-to-face meeting with your employee manager to kind of come up with a plan to kind of fix those actions. The third one is a 30-day probation. That means we have the right not to schedule you for work for 30 days. And at the end of that, we'll reevaluate if you're still the best fit for home care assistance. The fourth instance is automatic termination. Childcare issues do fall under that protocol as an unexcused call out. We are very understanding that there are issues with childcare, but if your child's sick every Tuesday, every second Tuesday, there starts to be a pattern. We recognize that kind of stuff, and we want what's best for you guys, and we've got to figure out what the best solution is. You do get one unexcused absence during a 3-month grace period. Save that for an actual emergency, like, hey, there's been a pipe that busted at my child's daycare. They can't go. The child, it had to be closed today. That's a great reason to use that unexcused absence. Not wanting to work because it's a Friday is not a good reason to call out. Your client needs you. We need you. So keep that kind of stuff in mind. Again, we have a zero-tolerant policy for all no-shows. You can communicate with our office 24 hours a day. We have a manager on call 24 hours a day, morning, noon, night. The biggest thing is that you are calling the office number. Before we end orientation, I will make sure that you add this phone number to your phone. It's the only number you should be calling when you need anything from us here at the office. Never text or email that you cannot make it to a shift. I don't know how to make it any more clear. If you cannot make it to a shift because you have an actual emergency going on, call the office. If you need to take time off for vacation, mental health reasons, you have a wedding coming up, it's your birthday weekend, you must put in a 2-week notice, and it must be approved from the office. So that's two different things. Time off is a 2-week in advance. An emergency is a call to the office. All right. So let's talk about communicating when it comes to cognitive decline. Like we talked about earlier, many of our clients have cognitive decline because they have some form of dementia. So this can cause things like forgetfulness, a lot more absent-mindedness, a lot of anger, a lot of wandering. You're the professional. Remember, it's not the client's fault. It's the way that their brain chemistry is changing. Don't get angry. Don't raise your voice. Don't get threatening. The best thing you can do is use a low, soothing tone. Be alert. Be alert to their wandering. We try to avoid from saying, no, you can't do that. So a good example is your client goes out for their daily walk every day, and today it's pouring down rain, and they're just insistent that they go on their walk. Instead of saying, no, you can't go on your walk, it's, okay, yeah, let's find our rain boots. Let's find our rain jacket. Let's find our umbrella. Or, hey, I thought today, since it's raining, let's go do our walk at the inside gym, or let's go to the mall and do our walk. So you're finding ways for them to still do their typical activity, but in a more safe environment. When you ask questions, make sure you slow it down. You ask one question at a time, and you keep it simple. Instead of being like, what do you need? I understand that you might be upset. It's almost time for lunch. Would you like to eat something? So things like that, and present them with food. Try not to lie to them, and try not to live too much into their reality. For example, if a client who is well into their 90s is talking about how they need to leave because, their parents are waiting on them. We know that their parents are deceased. There's no way that their parents are waiting on them. We don't want to be like, oh, yeah, I saw them. Or, oh, they said that you can sleep here tonight. We don't want to do that. It's better off to say, hey, how about tonight we rest here, and in the morning we can try to do that. So you're still comforting them and providing them information, but you're not being like, oh, no, they definitely said that we can stay here. We never want to lie to them because then it creates this false sense of trust. If you're ever in a situation, especially with somebody with dementia, that's too frustrating, call the office staff. That's what we're here to do. We want to make sure that you guys feel confident in the job that you're doing. And if you need us for any time, for any reason, just communicate with us. Clients on hospice. There is a miscommunication that people think that anytime a client is on hospice, their end of life care, that's the end. That's not necessarily true. A lot of times when someone has chosen hospice, they have chosen no life-saving measures. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to die in the next couple of days. So when somebody is on hospice, the biggest thing to understand is that hospice company comes first, and then home care assistant policies come second. So if anything changes with that client, if they have any new pain or any new symptoms, any medication changes, treatment changes, if any x-rays or labs come back, before you consider taking them to the hospital, before you consider calling emergency services, if they were to have a fall, their body temperature changes, their heart rate changes, if you as a caregiver need emotional or spiritual support, if the family, if they themselves, or if the client were to pass away, you need to call the hospice company first, and then you need to alert us here at Home Care Assistance. We make sure that if a client is on hospice, you know up front, hey, they're on hospice. This is the company that they're on hospice with. This is their phone number. This is specifically the nurse that you'll typically be working with. So we make sure there's an open communication with everybody so that you feel confident in the job that you'll be doing. We'll make sure it's posted in the home and the care binder, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So there's never any questions about, well, if they're on hospice, who do I need to call? We'll make sure that you know. Again, before anything changes, if anything new happens, you call the hospice company first. Hey, their heart rate is slowing, they have labor breathing. You'll call hospice first and let hospice know so they can send somebody out. Then you'll call us, hey, just letting you know, their heart rate is slowing, labor breathing. I'll call hospice. They're sending somebody out. I just wanted to call to let you guys know as well. A DNR. If a client is a DNR, that means do not resuscitate. Now, you can call 911 in this situation, but you cannot do anything. So you cannot perform CPR. You cannot do anything to save their life in this situation. If you do call 911, you need to tell them up front, my client, Miss Jones, is a DNR. So that means I cannot resuscitate them in that situation. We always let you know up front when somebody is a DNR. There is a big red piece of paper just like this that we show you, and you know up front who is a DNR and who is not. Dress code and appearance. Scrubs are required. You are required to wear scrubs whenever you work with home care assistants. If you need help purchasing scrubs, please let us know. We're more than happy to provide those for you. And then as you work, you will pay us back for those. If your client does not want you to wear scrubs, maybe they don't want people to know they have a caregiver, you must wear clean, casual clothing. Do not wear anything that you would be upset if it got torn up or messed up, because many times you're going to be providing personal care and you don't want something to get snug or tagged on a wheelchair or a motorized scooter, or that could get messed up with you lifting to put somebody in a vehicle and vice versa. Absolutely no open-toed shoes and no heels. We have some caregivers that do take their clients to church. You're not required to attend church with them, but you do have to help get them in the building and out of the building safely. If you do decide to attend with them, you cannot wear high heels. It's just a safety risk issue. You can't do it. If you're somebody who likes to wear Crocs, those are okay. Just keep in mind, if you have a client who is prone to bowel accidents, that could be a biohazard risk, because those shoes are not very secure and they do have holes in them. We're not very picky when it comes to body piercings and tattoos. However, you need to look professional. If you have something that's inappropriate, please make sure that it's covered up. No strong perfumes or lotions, but do maintain good hygiene, keeping clean washed hair, making sure that you are not wearing anything that's inappropriate or too strong. If you're somebody who smokes, give yourself enough time to air out before you get to your client. And you are required at all times to wear a photo ID badge. When you have your next in-person meeting with me, I will make you a photo ID badge. You're required to wear it at all times. This is the only way for people to identify who you are as a home care assistance employee. We have a lot of caregivers who work for other agencies or who work for the hospital. You cannot wear logos for other agencies. You can't wear your EAMC jacket when you're with a client for home care assistance. The biggest thing is they need to be able to easily identify, hey, that is a home care assistance employee. If I have issues, I know which agency I need to call. So make sure that whenever you're there, you are only wearing your home care assistance logo information. Transportation. There may be times that you transport the client in your vehicle or that you may drive their vehicle. You have to keep up-to-date car insurance. We will run a background check and we do DMV checks as well, looking for things like DUIs, speeding tickets, things of that nature. Make sure that you are driving safely and cautiously when you're taking them somewhere, whether it's your vehicle or their vehicle. Make sure you're in enough time to get there. Don't be running red lights in their vehicle or yours, especially when they're in the vehicle. Just drive safely and cautiously. We do ask that you provide us with your car information. If it updates or changes, the same thing with your car insurance, you've got to update it here at the office. We do this as a safety thing. God forbid this ever happen, but if you and your client were to go missing for any reason, we want to at least be able to identify what kind of vehicle you guys might have been in so we can get everybody home safely. The next thing we're going to talk about is elder abuse. The safety of our clients is a priority for us, and there's many different forms of abuse. There's physical, there's verbal, there's financial and emotional. There's also abandonment and neglect. We expect you guys to report any suspicions to your employer, which is home care assistants. If you are somebody who works within a facility, so Arbor, Azalea, Magnolia, someone like that, and you see signs of abuse, you are not to go to them. You are to come to home care assistance and report that to home care assistance because we are your employer. At the end of the day, we are your employer. So if you see signs, whether it's in a home, in a facility, you are to come to home care assistance and report it to your employee manager at home care assistance. So some signs that there might be some elder abuse: they have trouble sleeping, they seem depressed or confused, they start losing weight for no reason, they show signs of trauma like rocking back and forth, they're very aggravated and violent, they seem withdrawn, they stop taking part of activities that they typically enjoy, they have unexplained bruising, burns, scars, they look messy, unwashed hair, dirty clothes, and they start developing bed sores and other preventable conditions. When it comes to financial abuse, you can never, ever, ever, ever accept money or gifts from your client or your client's family. A lot of times, clients are very appreciative of you and they want to show their appreciation, but they also have memory issues. So let's say it's your birthday, they give you a card, it has money in it, and you say, hey, I'm not allowed to accept money or gifts from you. And they say, no, like I'm just insistent you must take it. Call the office immediately and report it. Another example is the client asks for you to help them clean out their storage unit. And there's an old microwave in there and they say, oh, nobody's used that thing for 20 years, and they give it to you. You've got to call the office and you've got to report it to the office. We never want you to get into a situation to where on Monday they forgot that they gave you that $20 for your birthday. Or 6 months from now, the kids are looking for that microwave because they've been saving it and now they can't find it and they're accusing you of stealing. So never accept money or gifts from them. If they're just insistent that you have to have it, call the office immediately and let us know. The same thing for the client's family. Most of the time they'll call and ask us, especially around the holidays, may I give them a holiday gift? And we'll tell them yes. They will tell us, what they plan to give you guys. It is still your responsibility to call and report that to the office. So make sure that you are following that protocol. We never want to put you guys in a situation to where you could be financially abusing somebody. When you're out in public, try not to be carrying the client's money, wallet, gift cards, etc. You can work with somebody every day for 10 years, and one day they forget who you are, and you're holding their wallet, and now they're upset, and they're yelling, and they're accusing you of stealing. Don't put yourself in that situation. Many of our clients are homebound, so caregivers will go and get their groceries and their prescriptions and stuff for them. Make sure you're keeping your receipts and make sure that debit, credit card, cash, however it is that you're paying for stuff, gets back exactly where it needs to be. Make sure that receipts are getting turned in on the app. There's a way to take a picture, put it in there immediately, and then the physical copy comes back here to the office. Another one that we've added: do not use your personal device, whether that's your cell phone, your iPad, your computer, and use the client's debit or credit card to purchase them something. A good example is a client asks you, hey, little Timmy's birthday is next week. Will you get on Amazon and buy him this specific gift? You can use their device and use their debit card to purchase that for them, but you cannot use your device and their debit card, because what typically happens is that their information is going to get saved to your phone. And even if you were to accidentally use it in a couple of weeks to purchase yourself something, that's still considered financial abuse. Never put yourself in that situation. Lying about your hours, lying about the time that you were there, lying about your mileage, all of that is considered financial abuse. Do not put yourself in that situation. We're checking mileage. We're checking the shifts. We're checking with the family. We're checking security cameras. We're making sure that we know when you're coming and going. If you get caught lying, that is financial abuse. Do not put yourself or the client in that situation. The next is verbal and physical abuse. Kind of goes without saying. We want to be kind. We want to be friendly. We want to use kind and friendly language in communicating. Sometimes that can be difficult, especially with somebody who has Alzheimer's or dementia. Try to be respectful. Try not to argue. Remember that a lot of times it's not them. It's just their brain. Always ask permission. May I help you get out of bed? May I help you walk to the car? Try not to make them feel rushed or forced to do something. And we always want to be kind and gentle whenever we offer something. Inactivity is considered neglect. We don't want them taking unnecessary naps. We don't want them just sitting in their chair all day. We don't want them, taking too much medication to where they're just zoned out. We want them up, active, keeping them engaged, having conversations, taking them to do things, making sure they're eating. We're trying to keep them as engaged as possible. You cannot leave your client unattended for any amount of time for any reason. A good example is, let's say you are within a facility and you need to go to the bathroom. We need to make sure that someone else from that facility is coming in to sit with your client while you relieve yourself to go to the bathroom or to go warm up your lunch. And when you come back, they'll go back to their typical position. So keep all of that stuff in mind. If you're not doing their personal care, if you're not making sure that they're following up after an injury, all of that stuff is considered neglect. Do not put the client or yourself in that position. We will investigate any signs of abuse, any claims of abuse. If you even think there might be something going on, even with another caregiver, come to the office immediately. Do not report it to the other agency or to the family or to that facility. It is the sole responsibility of home care assistants to report that stuff. We're not going to come and be like, oh, well, your caregiver thinks that you might be abusing them. We're not going to do that. Everything is kept confidential. Let us do a full report. We want to make sure that they are properly taken care of. Again, failure to comply with any policy or procedure can result in termination. Discussing compensation with another caregiver or client, betraying confidentiality, unsolicited contact of a client or a client's family, consuming alcohol or any illegal substances during working hours, neglecting of a client, so abandoning them, leaving them at home by themselves or in their home, stealing from them, lying about your hours, lying about your mileage, lying about a job site injury, and then no calling, no showing to an assignment. All right, let's talk about employee benefits. I think we have great employee benefits, and we're always asking, what benefits would you guys like? We're always offering as much as we can to make sure that you guys are happy in your job. So let's start with the most important one, pay. We pay every 2 weeks on a Friday. The way that a pay period works is that it starts at midnight on a Monday at 12 a.m. and ends 13 days later on a Sunday at 11:59. On this Monday, I will put in all of your pay information and you will be paid that following Friday. We do everything direct deposit unless you're somebody who opts out of direct deposit and to receive a paper check. Again, every 2 weeks on a Friday. So we would be paid the 6th, the 20th, and then the following Friday as well. All employees start off at $11.50 per hour unless otherwise discussed. Starting pay may differ depending on your work experience, certifications. Make sure that I know all of your work experience. Make sure that I have an updated resume that has all of your work experiences on there. Make sure if you have references of hey, I've worked for this agency and this is the person I worked with, and I work with this private client, and here's a family member that you can talk to. All of that goes into consideration of how much I pay you. Any certifications, CNA, medical assistant, pharmacy tech, all of that stuff is important for me to know so I know how much to pay you. If you're not sure what your starting pay is, come to me so I can make sure that you know. We do have a standard weekday rate. It's $11.50 for weekdays, which we consider Monday through Friday, or $13 for Monday through Friday, and then weekends are $12.50 or $14 for Saturday and Sunday. So it just depends on if you're a companionship or a certified caregiver. Again, starting pay can differ depending on your work experience and certification, so make sure you're getting that stuff into me. If 3 months into your employment you get more certification, bring those to me. I want to see them. I want to make sure I get you more money. Again, we're paid every 2 weeks on a Friday by direct deposit. If you decide that you would prefer a paper check, it is your responsibility to pick that check up from the office. Whenever you come in to pick it up, make sure you bring a photo ID like your driver's license. Even though I know who you are, I'm still legally required to get to see your photo ID. Make sure that you sign saying that it is who you are. If you need to send in your sister to pick up your check, call me in advance. Hey, I can't make it there today, but my sister's going to come pick up my check. Her name is Lacey. She'll be there at 2 o'clock. So I know who to look for. When Lacey comes in, Lacey needs to bring her ID as well. We do make all IRS deductions. I will provide you with all of your tax information. If you need to update or change your tax information along the way, we're more than happy to adjust that for you and help you to the best of our ability. Besides hourly cases, we also have living cases. Living cases are paid at a daily rate, not an hourly rate, so it's $200 per 24 hours. The way that they typically work is that you're scheduled anywhere from 2 to 5 consecutive days to live in that client's home. When you're there, you're doing all of your normal daily activities, plus you're getting 8 hours of restful sleep and then 2 30-minute breaks during that 24-hour period. You're required to do all of your normal job duties, even during those rest periods. So, for an example, let's say it's the middle of the night, your client needs to take their medication or needs assistance to get up to the bathroom, you're still expected to get up and assist. If it's every once in a while, that's okay. But if it starts to become a regular routine to where you're not getting rest, we're going to kind of reconsider to make sure that you are getting proper rest in that situation. A lot of our caregivers love live-in cases. So if you're interested, please let me know. I want to make sure that if we have a live-in case come open, that I know who is interested in those cases. Raises and paid time off. So this is something brand new to our office, and we're super excited to provide that. At your 90 days of employment, you will receive the full benefits and full information of this. I just want to go ahead and at least touch on it so you know kind of what we offer. Raises are given at the sole discretion of your employee manager. A raise may be as early as 90 days, but may also not be given until 1 year plus of employment. Pay time off, or PTO, is for any caregivers who have been employed with Home Care Assistance, BBKB, LLC, for at least 90 days, have actively worked 2 of the 3 months, and have an average of 20 hours of work per week, are eligible for paid time off. Paid time off is based on the total number of hours that you work during a biweekly pay period times the accrual rate, and the accrual rate is 0.01923 per hour. PTO must be requested and approved by your supervisor 2 weeks in advance. So again, we offer raises and we offer paid time off. The biggest thing to know is that these benefits are not eligible until at least 90 days of employment. At your 90 days, you and I will sit down and have another meeting, and that's when I go through all the information. How does paid time off work? How do you request it? How is it earned? How much do you get? All of that good stuff. So don't stress about that right now. Just know that at 90 days, you and I will have another face-to-face meeting. We'll go through all of your information about paid time off, but it is something that you will begin to earn soon. How to view your pay stub. Once we get you active in our system and you receive your first paycheck, you will get a link to this exact website. We will create you a username. You can create your own password, or we can create a password for you, and then it'll allow you to go in and change it once you establish your own login system. This is the only way for you to view your pay stubs. We do not print pay stubs here at the office. It is your responsibility to save the login information, remember your own password. We give you everything that you need to be successful. It's your job to keep up with it. So make sure that whenever you receive this information, you're saving it to your phone, saving it to your desktop, so that ongoing you can see how much paid time off you have, how much insurance is coming out of your check, how much taxes are coming out of your check, and so that you can kind of monitor how many hours you worked, what bonuses you got, all of that good stuff. Speaking of bonuses, we have tons of bonus programs. The first one is our employee referral program. If you know somebody, a friend, another family member, maybe somebody you used to work with who would make a great caregiver, refer them to us. Once they work a minimum of a 40-hour shift, you'll receive a $50 bonus for them, just as a thank you for sending them our way. If at 1 year of employment, they're still employed and actively working and you're still employed and actively working, you'll receive an extra $250 just as a thank you for encouraging them to stay on with us. Send them to our website, which is Home Care Assistance, Auburn, Opelika/apply, and they can put an application. Just make sure that they tell me that, hey, so-and-so is the one who referred me, so I can make sure that I can get you your employee referral. We have monthly bonuses. We have an on-time, no call-out bonus. If you have 0 instances of call-outs, you're not a minute late to a scheduled shift during an entire month, you'll receive a $25 bonus on the first day of the next month. So, for example, if you're on time and you have no call-outs for the month of February, the first day or the first paycheck of March, you'll receive a $25 cash bonus. This never ends. It's always ongoing. So you have up to 12 times a year that you can get a $25 cash bonus, and that adds up in the long run. If you're going to be on time and you're showing up on time, you might as well get some extra money for it. So we just want to continue to thank you for doing an awesome job. We also have a quarterly retention bonus. You can receive 5% of your gross pay up to $250 per quarter as a thank you for working for Home Care Assistance. They are giving out January, April, July, and October are the way that the bonuses are given. The way that you can earn this is to not have any disciplinary action, no missed clock in or outs, and then 0 instances of call-outs during that quarter. We have so many caregivers who get this $250 every quarter, plus they're getting that monthly because they've been on time for all of those months, and it never ends. So you're always in the running to get this. Here are some of the ladies who have already received their checks. I hope to see you on here next. I want to make sure that I can add some more pictures. We also have Employee of the Month awards. I want you guys to know that you are extremely valued and appreciated. We try to make sure that you know that you're appreciated. So we have a Caregiver of the Month, and we're always doing things to show you, hey, we see the work that you're doing. You're a valued employee. And here's some of the ladies who have already received that award. We also do a monthly review and a quarterly review. This is a time for you and I to talk. Do you need to take some time off? Do you need more hours? Do you need less hours? Are your hours changing because it's almost summertime? Or do your kids have a different ball schedule? Do you need supplies from the office? Do you need time just to talk about your school schedule and what's going on with you and how's things going at home? That's what that meeting is for. It's just a time for you and I just to reconnect and make sure things are still going. I want you to be happy in your job. And so this is just a way for you and I to make sure that you're always on the same page. Another benefit is that you can manage everything from your phone. You can clock in, you can clock out, you can look at all of your clients' information. You can look at any trainings. You can look at all your tutorials. You can do everything from your phone, which is great to have. We reimburse for mileage. Anytime that you use your vehicle to take the client somewhere, whether it's to a doctor's appointment, to go get groceries, go get their hair done, you can be reimbursed for those mileage to and from. It's not going to and from work, but it's anything you do during your scheduled shift for that client. You cannot be reimbursed for using their vehicle, but you can be reimbursed for using your vehicle. The federal IRS rate is currently 62 cents per mile. If that ever changes, it's based off of whatever the federal IRS rate is. Everything has to be documented. If you use the app, it instantly goes in there. If you're somebody who uses paper notes, it is your responsibility to turn those into the office each week so I can make sure that you are being reimbursed properly. Gas cards. We now provide reusable gas cards. These are a hard plastic card that we provide for you guys. It's a way just for us to say thank you. If you take on a last minute shift or you have to work a shift that's, way out far, we'll offer a incentive or a thank you for, working with us, and you can use it at any Shell gas station. You can use it for gas. You can use it for, whatever else they have in the store that you might want, a drink, snacks, etc. But once it's on there, it's instant and you can use it at any Shell gas station. The first card that we provide is free. If for some reason you lose it, lost, stolen, etc., it's $5 for a replacement card. Pay Active. Pay Active is a way to access a percentage of your paycheck in advance. This is not how you receive your paycheck. It's just a way to access your money quickly if you were to get into an emergency situation. There are always situations where a child gets sick, a pet gets sick, your car breaks down, your hot water heater goes out, and you need an advance on your paycheck because something has come up. We use Pay Active to allow you guys to do that. You can have it sent to your bank account, your debit card, or you can have them send you a prepaid card. Now, there is a fee associated from $1 to $5 per transaction. And the way that it works is that we deduct whatever amount that you take out from them from your check. And then we'll pay you whatever your remaining balance is on your actual paycheck. So let's say you made $1,000, you take out $500, you will receive your additional $500 on your next check. The biggest thing that I warn people about is, one, save this for emergency purposes. Like I said, there's a fee, $1 to $5 fee. So if you're taking out $5 here, $10 here, $15 here, that $1 and $5 fee is going to eat away at your total check. And you're expecting a $500 check. Well, now it's only $300 because you've had multiple fees where you've taken out all of these deductions. So keep that in mind. If you need it, it is available. So go ahead and sign up because you never know an emergency situation is going to happen. So at least you already have it. The biggest thing is that we do not sign you up for this. This is a self-sign-up situation. In your new employee packet, you will see all of the information for this. Our business name is BBKB LLC. Home Care Assistance is our brand. Our legal business name is BBKB LLC. And I know you've seen that a lot. Whenever you sign your new hire paperwork, you'll see Home Care Assistance BBKB LLC. So just so you know, if it ever asks you for your employee ID number, we don't actually use physical numbers. We actually use your first and last name. So, for example, my name is Nyla Cohen, so my employee ID would be Nyla Cohen, one word altogether. Teladoc. I love Teladoc. Teladoc is fantastic for any non-emergency medical situation. So, sinus infection, having issues with migraines, you need your medication refilled. I'm a busy person. I don't always have time to go sit 2-3 hours out of urgent care to get taken care of. I can download the app on my phone. I can spend 5 to 10 minutes on a phone call or a video chat with the doctor in my area. I tell them what's going on with me. They diagnose me. They send my prescriptions to my local pharmacy. That visit with that doctor is free. The office covers it 100%. The only thing you're responsible for is any prescriptions that they send you. And they will actually send you a little discount card for those prescription drugs as well. Once you work your first shift, you'll get signed up for this. If for some reason it slips my mind and I don't get you signed up for it, make sure I do. Teladoc is fantastic. It's so good. You guys really need it. Anybody who lives in your household can also use it for free. So a spouse, children, your dog, whoever, they can use it as well. So make sure that you're utilizing it. It's free. It's free healthcare. You've got to use it. It's super beneficial to have. Colonial life policies. Again, when you and I sit down for your 90-day evaluation, that's when you're going to get to sign up for your Colonial life policies. There are hundreds and hundreds of policies. You name it, there's a policy for it. Disability, life, accident, cancer, dental, vision. I know I have the vision policy. I think I pay $16 a month and I get a free eye exam and a free pair of glasses and contacts every year. $16 for a pair of glasses is really good. I don't know if you guys have bought glasses or had an eye exam lately, but they're extremely expensive. I spend less money paying into my policy than what I actually pay to get an eye exam or glasses each year. The only thing that we do kind of warn you about is that you have to be actively working to really utilize these policies. They are automatically drafted from your bank account. They're no longer actively set from your paycheck. So if for some reason they need to be paused or changed, it's your responsibility to tell the office, hey, I no longer want the policy, or it needs to pause or change, or whatever the situation needs to be. But again, we'll talk about this whenever you get to your 90 days of employment. You and I will sit down and talk about specifically what policy you want, what it looks like, how much it's going to cost, and all of that good stuff. Holidays at home care assistance. So caregivers are not required to work holidays. However, if you do work a holiday, we want to say thank you and you're paid at time and a half. So a good example is if you typically make $13, on a holiday you'd make $19.50. We currently only observe 7 major holidays, so Easter, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Again, if you work on one of those days, you will be paid time and a half. Usually about a week to 2 weeks in advance, we'll ask the client and the client's family, hey, tomorrow's Easter. You typically have a caregiver here from 8 until 2. Do you need a caregiver? Yes or no? And then we'll let you know. We can kind of take it from there. Workers' compensation. We provide full workers' compensation for you guys. If you were ever hurt on the job, you've got to let us know immediately. You cannot wait 2-3 days until it becomes an issue. Immediately. So you're lifting a client out of a bed or a chair and you feel something catch in your back. You burn yourself getting something out of the oven. You trip and fall down the steps. Any of that kind of stuff during your working hours, you have to report it immediately. If not, workers' compensation is going to say, well, you've got to prove that it happened at work. If you go ahead and report it that day, we can go ahead and get the paperwork started. And if it does become an issue, then we've already got it lined up. We pay for this. You might as well utilize it if you get hurt on the job. Continuing education. We're big on education, whether that's in person, online. Like I said, you will get signed up for the dementia training. Other trainings that we have, CPR and first aid. Our caregivers are not required to perform CPR because we are non-medical. However, we do provide that training because a lot of times you guys want to have it and you want to be able to be well versed. So we will provide free training for you and you just show up and receive your training. Make sure that if you are working with somebody and it requires any type of bodily fluids that could be on your hands or on your body, you're wearing gloves, you're wearing protective equipment, we'll provide all of that for you. Wash your hands, make sure you're washing your hands, make sure that if you need more gloves, all you have to do is ask and we'll provide them. Back safety. Eventually we will do Hoyer training, Sarah chair training, gate belt, etc., transferring, all of that good stuff. And if you want it and you need it now, just tell me, hey, I need a retraining on how to use a Hoyer before I go out, or I really want to work with that client, but I'm not really sure how to use a gate belt. And I'm more than happy to bring you in and do that training with you. Here are some of the trainings that we've done. We've done breakfast and learns. We've done middle of the day. We've done weekends. The trainings are for you guys. So whatever training you need, all you have to do is let me know. If we have a client who gets an ostomy, we will bring you in, make sure you feel confident in how to change an ostomy, how to do the care for it. We're not going to be like, oh, by the way, they have an ostomy, best of luck. We're going to make sure that you feel confident before we send you out there. Care Academy. Care Academy is our online classroom that we use for continuing education. It is fantastic. The way that Care Academy works, it's a set of videos that you watch and then you take a quiz following, kind of like orientation, how you're watching me talk through all this information, and then at the end, you're going to take a quiz. Now, for any Care Academy course that you complete, you'll be paid $10 per course. Typically, every 3 to 4 months, I'll sign you up for 5 to 6 classes, and it's 100% up to you. If you want to complete it, you get paid $10. If you don't want to complete it, no big deal. I typically give you a month in order to complete those. We used to make Care Academy courses a part of orientation. We no longer do unless I feel specifically that you may need additional training before I send you out to your client. There's tons of different trainings, everything from safety precautions for falls, working with the elderly, end-of-life care, cancer, Parkinson's, you name it. There is some type of training out there that we can provide for you. The caregiver binder. We provide a caregiver binder that has all of the critical information that you would need to be successful. This binder is for you. The first thing you're going to see is your client's care plan. After that, you're going to see care notes. If you're somebody who doesn't like to use the app or doesn't want to use one of the other forms of taking electronic notes, you can take paper notes. The biggest thing is that you have to be responsible for bringing that back to the office. Emergency protocols. Do they have a DNR? Are they on hospice? Who do you need to call in case of an emergency situation? List of their medication. We ask that you guys continue to help us update that if their medications changes, etc. Expense report. So the receipt folder, all of that good stuff. There's a balanced care book. So anytime that you need encouragement of healthy activities or healthy meals to make. All of that's in there again. The biggest thing is that the care binder has their personal information. It needs to be in one place in the home that anytime Katie or myself, someone from the office walks in to, pick up the care notes or bring new care notes or just make sure the care plan's updated, or another caregiver needs to come and look and read the care plan, it's easily accessible. You cannot take this out of the home. If you've taken this out of the home, you have broken HIPAA because it has all their personal information. So make sure it stays in the home in one location to where we all know where it's at. We want to make sure that we can recognize signs of a stroke. Their acronym is FAST because the faster respond, the better their outcome is. So F is facial drooping and drooling, the crooked smile. A is arm weakness, pain. They have a hard time kind of raising their arm up, or they have no strength in it at all. S is for speech difficulties, slurring, delays. And T is for overall timing. They look like they're just kind of lethargic. They usually have that gray look to them. In this situation, you're better off to call 911. It's better to be safe than to be sorry. We want to make sure that we're providing the best possible care for them. So again, any signs that there is a stroke, the acronym is FAST. Facial drooping, arm weakness and pain, speech difficulties, and timing. So light housekeeping do's and don'ts. We will provide light housekeeping. It's important to know what is acceptable task for you to do and what is not. So we can keep services in the bathroom and the kitchen clean. We can help clean up after doing a meal. We can vacuum, mop, and sweep general areas and primary bedrooms. We can do general dusting. We can help with their laundry, changing their bed linens. Occasional watering of plants, taking the trash out, taking the trash bin to the road. And then when it comes to pet care, helping do, food, water, and letting them out to use the bathroom. However, there are some things that we cannot provide assistance with. We cannot clean ceiling fans. We can't wash windows, no moving furniture. You cannot get on a ladder. You cannot stand on a chair to get something out of a high cabinet. You can't dust and vacuum the entire house. You cannot mow the lawn, trim the hedges. You can't polish silver. You cannot use any harsh bleaches or chemicals to scrub toilets and showers. No scrubbing of the floors. No washing their car. No highly involved pet care such as waste disposal or grooming. So make sure you know what you can and cannot do. This is typically where caregivers get burned out, is because they're taking on more responsibilities than they're supposed to do, whether that's within a facility or within somebody's home. If you have questions what you can and cannot do, just ask the office and we'll make sure that you know kind of what your boundaries are. Again, workplace safety, we provide full workers' compensation for you guys, but you still have to use good common sense. Make sure that you are careful when transferring somebody. Use good transferring techniques. Make sure you're wearing good shoes. Make sure that you're cleaning up any spills, that you're careful in the bathroom. You're moving objects out of the way that could be a fall risk for you or the client. Don't throw things at each other. Even things like the remote control. Don't throw the remote control to and from your client. When you're in the kitchen, make sure you're using good oven mitts. Use good common sense. Make sure you're turning off the oven whenever you're done. And then keep walkways and staircases clean of debris. A happy client is a long-lasting client and a long-lasting case. One of the things that we will do is called a meet and greet. If it's the first time that you're going out to work with somebody, someone from the office or another caregiver who is very familiar with that client will meet you there to introduce you to the client and the family and kind of go over a rundown in person of the care. Typically at this point, you have already received a shift alert, you have received the care plan, and you have verbally talked to somebody in the office. And now this is the fourth time you're actually going to meet the client, meet the family, and you're actually going to meet them in person. We do this as a way to kind of build your confidence because it can be kind of nerve-wracking going out for the first time, and we want to make sure that you are comfortable and confident in the job that you're going to be doing. Make sure that you're dressed professionally. Make sure you're focused on your client. You're there to be their companion. Remember, you're there for them, so pay attention to them. Ask good questions. Make sure you're finding out, what kind of meals they like. What do they like to be called? Do they like to be called ma'am or sir? Do they prefer to they have a nickname they prefer to be called, like, big dog, all of that good stuff. Make sure that you're actually listening to them. Ask them about their hobbies. Find out about their kind of daily routine of what they like to do. Make sure that you're working as a team, asking other caregivers good questions, especially in cases that are a little bit more involved. We typically send you out with the other caregiver because they're the ones that are there each day, and they can kind of tell you the ins and outs of, like, this is what I experience. This is kind of a daily routine. These are some things of where things are kept, like the personal care items. So don't be afraid to ask them questions. That's what they're there to help with. Yeah, that's a great question. Let me show you where that's at. I forgot about that. I'm just so used to doing it. So make sure you're asking questions so that you feel confident in what you're doing as well. The biggest thing is be proactive. If you have questions or need us at any time, just call. Like I said, our phones are covered 24 hours a day. You just have to call so we can get you taken care of. Okay. I know we've been through a lot. We're going to take a little breather and we're going to get back at it. The last thing that we're going to talk about is how to clock in and out, which is one of the most important things. This is how you clock in and out to your shifts and all of that good stuff. Are you guys ready? So we do everything through our app, which is called WellSky. You will need to download the app on your phone. Here's the thing. You do not, listen to me, you do not have access to clock into your app yet. You will not have access to clock into your app until you and I have a face-to-face meeting. So, again, you can go ahead and download this app. However, you will not have access to clock in, clock out, or even get into the app until you and I have that face-to-face meeting. We manage our timesheets, clocking in and out through our app, which is called WellSky PC. Your employee manager will coordinate all of your schedules and changes and updates. I'll make sure that I'm telling you, hey, I need you to come in early, or hey, you forgot to clock out. What time did you leave? All of that good stuff. You will receive an automatic text message the day before your shift just saying, hey, you're scheduled to work this time with this client. You can respond and say confirm or I'll be there, but you don't have to. It's just a general reminder. If you're somebody who works a weekend shift, you will receive a call from the office. You have to verbally confirm that you will be there at that shift. I typically call Thursday evening, first thing Friday morning. I'll say, hey, it's Nyla. I'm doing a weekend check-in. I got you scheduled for work. I need to know, do you need anything from the office? Do you need gloves? Do you need more care notes? The biggest thing is if you are somebody who is a weekend warrior and you only work weekends, it's been 5 days since you've last been out there. You need to know what changes have happened with your client. Have they had a fall? Have they had a stroke? Have they had any medical changes? So that conversation is me making sure that you're updated and confident for going back to work and that no changes have happened since the last time you're there. I never want you to be in the situation to where surprise, you walk in and something has completely changed with your client. They were walking the last time you got there and now they're wheelchair bound. So that's why we have to verbally confirm with each other what's going on and make sure everybody is on the same page. A typical workday is anywhere from 4 to 12 consecutive hours. We do have a 4-hour shift minimum. So anytime we have you go out to a shift, the minimum amount of time that you will be there is 4 hours. So just keep that in mind. You can never work for additional time beyond what you've been scheduled for. Again, if you need to come in late or the client asks you to come in early or they need you to stay late because there's an accident, any of that stuff has to be reported to the office. I have to know here at the office what is going on. You have to communicate with me so that I can make sure that your time is correct here at the office. Overtime is something that's possible, but it's not something that we can require or that is guaranteed. If you're needing more hours, come to me and let's talk about it and let's see what we can work out. Employees have a 10-minute buffer at the start and end time. Once you have not clocked in within that 10-minute buffer time, you're going to receive an automatic text message or email just saying that you have missed your clock in and out, and that's when you're considered late. If it starts to become an issue, we do have consequences for missed clock in and outs. The biggest thing is that you're clocking in and out at the correct times. You cannot clock in early. So if you're an early bird and you get there 5-10 minutes early because you want to make sure you're following up with the other caregiver or the family, that's okay. But you cannot clock in until the exact start time. So if your shift starts at 7, you can't clock in until 7. Let's see. Let's say that you get to your client's home and because you can't clock in until right at 9, you get busy, you forget. 9:20 comes, you got the missed clock in and out message, you didn't see it, you just kept working. Now I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm trying to get a hold of you, and I have to come out and find you. Because again, we don't let our clients go without care, so somebody's got to come out and make sure that everybody's okay. Whenever I find you, that's the time I'm clocking you in. So if I don't find you till 9:20, you're losing money. So make sure that you're clocking in and out on time, making sure that you're not losing your money. If it happens once, no big deal. The first couple of times that you go to and from a shift, I'm very understanding. It takes a little bit to get used to how to clock in and out. But after, your first 3-4 weeks, you should be set and you should be understanding of how to clock in and out. The same thing for clocking out. If you clock out 45 minutes past your normal shift, you've got to let me know, hey, they've had an accident, I had to stay late, or, whatever the situation is, so that I know what's going on, so that I don't change your time back to 5, even if you stayed 45 minutes over to help assist with the situation. If we start to have issues with excessive missed clock in and out, there are disciplinary actions. If there are 2 late clock-ins within a pay period, it's a verbal warning. If it's 3 times, it's a face-to-face meeting and a write-up. If it's 4 times, it's an automatic probation. And again, probation means we have the right to not schedule you for work for up to 30 days, monitor you, and then reevaluate at the end of those 30 days. Remember, if you're clocking in and out on time, you're going to get a $25 bonus every month. And that adds up. And then you're also going to get the quarterly bonus of up to $250. That's an easy $275 for showing up and being an awesome caregiver. That's all you got to do. Show up on time. I know it sounds a lot harder than it actually is, but I believe in you guys. You can do it. Make sure you're showing up on time. Make sure you're clocking in on time. So there are 3 ways to clock in. The very first thing you should do is the app. I know it says ClearCare Go. Our app was called ClearCare Go a couple of weeks ago. It just updated. It's now called WellSky PC, but use the app. The very first thing you should do is use the app. If something crazy has happened and you can't get the app to work, you need to use telephony, which is a phone service that you call into, which we'll talk about here more in a second. If that doesn't work, you'll need to respond to the missed clock in, clock out text message. If you've exhausted all those efforts and it is during normal business hours, which is 8:30 to 5, you can call the office number and we can get you clocked in and out. If it is outside of business hours, you just need to respond to that missed clock in, clock out message. So again, let me break that down again. Let's say you got to your client's home. It's time for you to clock in and out. You go into the app's not recognizing who you are. So you call telephony. Telephony's still not recognizing who you are or where your client is. If it's during normal business hours, call the office. Hey, I'm having an issue. I can't get clocked in, but I'm here. And we'll troubleshoot what we need to do to get your clock in and out apps fixed. If it's outside of normal business hours, respond to the missed clock in, clock out text message. Hey, I'm here. I can't get the apps to work. And then during normal business hours, we'll figure out what's going on with your app and we'll get it fixed for your next shift. So let's talk a little bit more about telephony. So telephony is a phone service that we use that is based off of the phone number that we provide. What we do is that we use the client's cell phone, home phone, as a clock in or out system. You use their device, not yours. You use the client's cell phone or home phone. You call into the telephony number, which I'll provide for you. It recognizes who you are from that phone number. It'll allow you to clock in. You hang up, you go about your shift. At the end of your shift, you call the telephony number again. It'll allow you to clock out. You'll put in your notes. It'll ask, did you assist with bathing? Did you assist with transferring? Did you assist with a meal? Did you assist with medication? Each task that's listed, it'll ask you, did you complete it? You'll give a yes or no answer, and then you'll put in your general comment. The biggest thing that I warn you about when using telephony is, 1, make sure you're listening. If you're not listening and you're focused on everything else going on, you're going to put in notes incorrectly, or you may clock in or out somebody, one of the other caregivers. The other thing is that from the time that you call telephony to the time that you hang up, everything is recorded. So if you were in the bathroom, using the bathroom, flushing the toilet, washing your hands, all of that's going to be recorded. So make sure that whenever you call telephony, you're not in the bathroom. You're not saying something inappropriate, because all of it's recorded. Anybody else that works for the office and the client's family can hear that as well, because they receive notes as well. The missed clock in, clock out text messages that you get 10 minutes after your missed clock in or out time. One of the main reasons that we created this is, let's say you're somebody who works an overnight shift. It's 11 o'clock at night. You're there. You're having an issue with maybe getting the time to recognize where you are. You can respond to that text message, and the next morning, we'll get your time updated. I love you guys, and I'm very appreciative that you're working an overnight shift. I don't exactly want you to call me at 11 o'clock at night to let me know. I'll see the text message because I'll wake up when I see that you've missed clock in. If I see, hey, I'm here, I'm having an issue clocking in, and you send me a screenshot of what's going on with your app, I may not respond, but I've seen it. I'll get you updated the next day. If I'm concerned that you're not there, I'll start calling. But I usually see it, and I'm going back to bed, and I will make sure that you're taken care of the next morning. So just keep that in mind. You will receive an email that says Caregiver Portal Invite, and it will be a general welcome to home care assistance. It will be whatever email that you provided to home care assistance, and it will let you set up a password. Again, you have not received this yet. You will not receive this until you and I have our next face-to-face meeting. We have to have our face-to-face meeting before you will receive this. You can go ahead and download the app. You have no way to get into the system until you and I have our next face-to-face. So keep that in mind. Once you do get your login system, this is exactly what it's going to look like. Whatever photo we use for your photo ID badge is the one that we'll put in the system. Your phone number and address is put in the system for GPS location reasons. The only people that have access to it is the office staff. The client's family does not have access to it. The only thing they have access to is to see your picture, to know what you look like, and to see any notes that you put in the system. The same thing for insurance. They can see your picture and they can see whatever information that you put in for notes. Whenever you are scheduled for something, this is exactly what the shifts is going to look like. So it'll say that you were scheduled from this time to this time, so from 12 to 2. And then your client, which mine is HCA office event, and then it'll give you directions. It'll give you their phone number and any additional information that you might need for them. Let's say that it's the first time you're going to work with a client. I'll say, hey, give me a couple of minutes. Let me put your shifts in for the week. And then you can go in and everything should be listed. Let's say you ask for a day off. Give me a couple of minutes. I'll take you off the schedule. Make sure you go and look. So, for example, they're scheduled Tuesday, Wednesday. Nothing is scheduled Thursday, so they're off work. And then they're working again on Friday. If you click into that individual shift, it'll tell you everything that you need to know for your client. The care plan is listed right here. So when I say, hey, I'm going to get you added to the schedule, go read the care plan. That's where you go. So you click shifts. You click into that specific shift, and then you click right here and you click care plan. Anytime that a client manager updates a care plan, it'll pop up a notice and say care plan has changed from the last time you clocked in. So any changes that have been made, even if it's any general, like a period, a comma, any of that stuff, it'll give you an update as well. And it'll just ask you to read through it, make sure there's no changes that you haven't been aware of. And we'll make sure that you're called and told of any changes as well. You can read all of the tasks that you were set to help with, transfer and bathing, meals, and specifics. Our client managers do a fantastic job of putting great details in there. For example, let's say you have a client who is total care, but he can feed himself and his wife will make his meals. When it comes to mealtime, they want you to sit beside him and assist him when needed. The biggest thing is making sure that he has a bib on, cleaning up whenever he has spills, making sure that the food stays kind of warm because it takes him a long time to eat, things like that. So all those specifics are put in there to kind of help it easier for you to understand what the expectation is. There is always a COVID questionnaire in there. You'll just say, no, I haven't had any of the previous signs or symptoms. If you have, make sure you call the office and report any signs or symptoms of COVID before you ever go to work. Again, once you're clocked in, all of the tasks that we expect you to assist with are listed, everything from bathing, ambulating, helping with dressing or grooming and eating. And again, all the specifics are listed in there. It's the same thing that's in the care plan. It's just each individual task. You can close out of the app. You can go about your day. At the end of the day, you'll go back into the app, and this is exactly what you'll see. And you'll go through and you'll say yes or no, did you complete that task? So, did you assist with ambulating? No. If you say no, it's going to open a secondary task or a secondary window. If you say no, that you didn't complete a task, you have to leave a reason why. And it can be something short and simple, like they didn't need assistance, or they didn't get out of bed, they didn't need help, they did it yesterday. We understand. Sometimes clients refuse to take a shower. Sometimes they've already had a meal before you got there. We just need to know a general reason why. We're not the kind of agency that's like, well, we pay you to do that. Look, we understand. We completely understand. We just need to make sure for insurance and family purposes and for all our own purposes that we know what's going on and why tasks didn't get done. So if there's a pattern of them refusing to take their meds or refusing to bathe, we can notice that and try to make sure that we're there to assist. Once you put in, they refuse to get out of bed, you'll press submit. You guys see this tiny little X on here? You'll have to press this X and it'll take you back to this shift. If you press the back button, it's going to take you completely out of the app. So again, make sure you're pressing this little X button. It'll take you back to your app. So did you assist with bathing? Yes, and you'll go on to the next one. One of the biggest things about our app is there is a geo-field location around the app. You have to have your location device on in order for it to work. As you can tell, this bar is red, this bar is green. If you're ever having issues with your clocking in and out, I'm going to say, hey, take a screenshot of what you see in your app bar so I know what's going on. And it'll always tell. So this is distance. So what it's saying is that you're too far away to clock in. So you can't be up the road driving 90 miles an hour trying to get to your client's home. You have to physically be on their property to clock in and out. So it'll say distance, location error, GPS location device not on. Like it'll tell you why it won't let you clock in if you're too early, etc. So all you have to do is send me a picture of this and I'll know why you couldn't clock in or clock out on time. Let's see. You can put in your mileage. Again, whenever you put in mileage, you have to put in a reason. Did you go to the grocery store? Did you take them to a doctor's office? Did you just go loafing? If you went loafing, you've got to specifically tell me where you went loafing. Did you leave their house and drive down South College Street and then you got on the interstate and then you came to the home care assistance office and then you decided to drive the back way down Frederick Road and then you decided to turn up on Sanford? Like I need to know generally where you went so that we can kind of track those mileage. Because if you put that you drove 80 miles around Auburn, I'm going to have a lot of questions because that's a lot of mileage around Auburn. So we need to be able to track and know where you went. So make sure that you're putting that in and that you're putting in accurately. The next thing is a general comment. I am a stickler for notes. I've got to have notes. There's no option to not put notes in. You have to. You have to put in notes every day, every shift. And I don't need a super detailed, over elaborate of when I arrived, I opened my car door, then I closed my car door, then I had to reopen my car door because I forgot my drink. I don't need that level of detail. I need a good overarching idea of what you did that day. Upon arrival, I helped with getting a bed bath. I helped put on their eczema medication. We got dressed for the day. He was very tired, so he laid in bed for a few more minutes before we decided to get up for the day. I assisted him to the table. We had breakfast. We ate X, Y, and Z. We sat in our chair. 30 minutes later, the PT, physical therapist, came and did their exercises. I cleaned up the bedroom and the kitchen while they did that. We had lunch. For lunch, we had X, Y, and Z. The afternoon, he took a nap. We went for a car ride. We had to go to X, Y, and Z. In the evening, I made sure that his feet were clean and medicated before I left. It was an overall great day. That's a great note. I kind of know X, Y, and Z of what you did for that day. Insurance needs these. The office needs these. The family needs these. If you and your client go and do something fun, you can post a picture of what you and your client did. If you have concerns about something, if you go to the grocery store, you can put a picture of the receipt in there. All of that stuff is things that you can put in there. The biggest thing is making sure that it's appropriate. We want to make sure that we're using appropriate language. If they're cussing and using inappropriate language, just say they're cursing and using inappropriate language. You don't have to put these specific curse words that they're using. If there's somebody who's hallucinating, we want to say they're hallucinating. We don't want to say they're talking to people that ain't there, that kind of stuff. So make sure that it is appropriate language. Make sure your spelling is correct. Remember, we see this. The family sees this. Insurance sees this. You have to put in notes. If I'm not seeing notes, I'm going to make you come into the office and put in notes for every day that I'm missing them. And if you're missing 2 weeks of them, it could take you an hour. And guess what? You're still going to have to come in and do it. So make sure you're putting in notes. Save yourself time. The best advice I can give you is everybody has some type of note app in their phone. After usually the first, second, third shift, you kind of get into a routine and you kind of know what your day is going to look like. create a general note in your notes app of what you and your client do each day. So that way, throughout the day, you can put in a little like, oh, we did this, we did that. And then at the end of the shift, you've got 20 minutes left. Go in, put in your note, copy, paste, post it for the day, and you're good to go. So that way, at 3 o'clock, when it's time for you to leave, clock out, you're done, all your notes are in the system, and there's no reason that you forgot or didn't have time. So like I said, your GPS device has to be on. I know a lot of people don't turn it on because they don't want the government, boyfriend, girlfriends, whoever to know where they're at during the day. That's fine. But in order to clock in and clock out, you have to turn your GPS location device on. Clock in, you can turn it off during your shift, but it has to be back on in order to clock back out. And it'll say at the bottom, location device not on, GPS location device not working, all of that good stuff. Another thing is that with our new app, it will ping and tell us generally when you arrived. For example, let's say I arrived at a client's home for my shift at 7:15, and I'm telling the office, oh no, I'm definitely arriving every day at 7, but the app's not letting me clock in. We can go and look, and it'll say on there, Nyla's iPhone at 7:15. So it tells us when your phone actually pinged, whether it has your actual name on it or it's just iPhone or Android or whatever device pinged at that time. It's pretty easy for us to kind of figure out which device is which because you're the only one that's usually there at that time. So don't think that you're going to get away with lying if you're not actually there during that time. Be like, oh yeah, my location device isn't on. We can still see that stuff and it'll still ping because of the device. So keep that stuff in mind. Make sure you're telling us when you're actually there. If you're actually having an issue with your GPS, your location device, come into the office or we'll come out to you. We want to make sure that you can clock in and out on time. Again, lying about your hours is considered elder abuse, and you don't want to put yourself or the client in that situation. All right, so let's say you've gotten all of your tasks checked off. You put in any mileage. You put in your notes because you know that if not, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. You're going to assign setting that everything above is true. A lot of times caregivers will see this where it says confirmed and they're like, okay, well, I've put everything in. This is asking you to confirm that everything above is true. So this does not mean that you're confirmed that you're clocked out. It's asking you to confirm that everything up here is true. You have to press confirm. Once you press confirm, it'll give you this. When you see this is when you're clocked out. If you're not seeing this, just know that you are still clocked in. So make sure that you are confirming that all the information that you put in is correct so that you can get clocked out appropriately. Again, location error. Make sure that it is on, whether it's an iPhone, an Android, etc. If you're having issues with it, please call me here at the office. I'm very flexible the first couple of shifts. Trust me, I know. We've pretty much heard it all. We've seen it all. We're more than flexible, and we're happy to work with you to make sure that you're comfortable with clocking in and out. As a reminder, insurance, family, anybody here at the office can see all of your notes, so make sure that they're appropriate. Here's a great example of what your notes should look like, what your daily task can look like. If you want to, stop, take a screenshot, take a screen grab. Keep this for your records. I provide this in your new employee packet as well. I just want you guys to be able to have something to look back at to give you a reference of, hey, when I put in for did I make the client a meal? Yeah, look, they're doing a turkey sandwich, a cup of fruit, and a glass of tea. Hey, I didn't know what to cook them today. Maybe that's what I'll make them. And a good overarching idea of what we did that day. Whenever you read a care plan, this is a general idea of what it's going to look like. If you want to pause your screen and read through it, you can. I just want to at least give you a general idea of what a care plan is going to read like. Again, the client managers here at Home Care Assistance do a fantastic job, and they spend a lot of time making sure that they put in specific details of they need standby or hands-on assistance, and they're very weak on this side. So you've got to make sure that you're standing on this side to prevent a fall. And when you take them to the bathroom, make sure that you're watching for this and make sure that you know about this. And the whole reason we're in care because of this. I mean, they're telling you everything you need to know so that you feel confident to go in and care for that person. Are there pets in the home? Are they aggressive? How big are they? They're going to tell you everything you need to know in that care plan. So make sure you're reading the care plan. After you read the care plan, we're going to have a conversation, whether it's on the phone or face-to-face, to talk about the client to make sure that you are prepared and ready to go. So again, you've received this, you've confirmed, yep, I've read the care plan. Now we're having a verbal conversation. Again, we're going through the exact same information, making sure that you truly understand everything that's involved in the care before we send you out there. Open shift alerts. So this is one of the hardest things for people to understand. So how do I get work? When do I start working? That's really difficult for me to say. It depends on your schedule, and it depends on what work we have available. We have some caregivers that within a day or two of finishing orientation, they're scheduled and they're working ongoing. We have some caregivers that takes 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months. It just depends. So once you are onboarded and you are in the app, you will start receiving text messages and or emails from our office, and they'll be listed like this. They'll say open shift alerts, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, female, Auburn 8 to 4. High care team, we have a female client in Auburn that needs care Saturday and Sunday from 8 to 4 p. Her meals and meds are provided for by the facility. She needs standby assistance and needs to be heavily encouraged to get out of her room and walk. This is an open shift alert. So this is a first come, first serve. If you know, hey, I'm available, I need some hours, you can press reply, you can respond to the text message, or you can call the office. A lot of people think if they respond to the text message, this is them actually texting me. This is our online system that we use. You're not actually texting me. You're texting back our alert system. And then if you're emailing back again, you're emailing our alert system. If you're super motivated, hey, I really want to get on that because I know how fast shifts go, call the office, and you're usually more likely to get on a shift. If we have something specific for you, so let's say we do an assessment, we have a specific client that we want you to work with, I'll send you a message and I'll say, hey, so-and-so, I have a new client that I want you to work with, or something specifically towards you. And most of the time, if it says, hi, everyone, hi, care team, it's just a general first come, first serve message to everybody. And if you're interested, respond. The other thing is, if those hours don't fit what you're looking for, you're not available, you don't have to respond and say, I'm not interested, or I don't want to work that. I send alerts out to everybody because your availability changes, your schedule changes. Maybe typically you don't work weekends, but this weekend you actually don't have anything going on and you would love to make some extra money. So I want to make sure that you always are getting opportunities to make extra money and have an ample opportunity to take on shifts. So I send alerts out to everybody. If you don't feel like you have the skills or ability to take on the client, don't stress about it. There will always be more shifts come open, and just keep an eye out for those alerts. As soon as I have something, I'm sending out an alert. In your client calendar, you can see every caregiver that's been scheduled with the same client that you're working with. The only time this is really important is if you're working a 24-hour case or with somebody who has 24-hour care. And we'll go into more specifics of if you have to work with somebody with 24-hour care with medications and stuff, because you'll need to know the last time that they gave meds. We typically have a flow chart of what we use in the home to do that, but we always have a way for you to look back in the app and see that as well. Hours wanted and unavailability. So again, if you need to take time off, this is not, I'm sick, I can't come to work, I've had an emergency, I've had a death in the family. This is, I have a pre-planned vacation. I need some mental health days. I have a wedding coming up. It's my birthday weekend, all of that good stuff. It's pre-planned 2 weeks, a minimum of 2 weeks in advance. You can email the time off request hca@gmail.com. Hey, I need time off. It's going to send you a form that you have to complete. You have to complete all of the form, the type of time that you need. You need all day, part of a day, etc. It has to be approved here at the office. It's not guaranteed. Again, you have to do it for 2 weeks in advance, a minimum of 2 weeks. This is not, I'm sick, I don't feel good, I just don't feel like going to work today. This is a 2 week in advance situation. Trainings and tutorials. Remember when we talked about education and trainings? Any of the Care Academy stuff is in the app. You can do it through the app, so it's not a secondary website that you have to go to. Everything is listed in the app. You can do it straight from the app. And we made it super easy to do that as well. Again, if you want to take the time right now and go download the WellSky app so that you can sit down with me in person at our next meeting, and we can play around with the app, and I can put you in for like a dummy shift and you can like get used to using it, absolutely go for it. It's just you do not have the ability to get shift alerts or to clock into the app yet because I have not put you into the system. I don't put you into the system until you and I have that face-to-face meeting. Okay, pause the video. Put this number in your phone. Save the number however you're going to remember it. Home Care Assistance, HCA Opelika, whatever name you were going to remember it by, put this number in your phone. The only office number you should ever call if you need something from Home Care Assistance is this one, 334-744-7100. All right. So our mission is to serve our clients with compassion, devotion, and a balanced care approach to aging so that we can help them retain their independence and remain in their own homes. We go beyond industry standards to promote longevity and quality of life, helping our clients to thrive. At Home Care Assistance, our caregivers pledge to serve their clients in a professional, cheerful, and kind manner. They will concentrate on their client's safety and well-being at all times. They will respect their client's privacy, property, and customs. They will do their best to accommodate their client's schedule and needs, working with a supervisor to make sure that their client is satisfied and thriving. Awesome. So you have made it through orientation. Yay! I know it was a lot. The best thing is that you can look back at this video at any time. You can look back at your employee manual at any time to look over this information. You can always call the office. You can ask questions. That's what we're here to do. So what are your next steps from here? 1, take your orientation quiz. Your orientation quiz should be in the same email that you received this Panopto video. If for some reason you did not receive it, call me at the office. Let me make sure that I get it resent to you. The next thing, you need to look for your e-signature for new hire form. I cannot onboard you until I receive these forms. This has all of your new employee documentation, including your background check, your emergency contact information, allergies, all of that good stuff. Again, you've got to complete this in order for me to onboard you. Once you've completed your orientation quiz, I'll get a copy of it here at the office. Once you've completed your e-signature forms, they come back here at the office. When I get that, I'm going to send off your background check. It usually takes 24 to 48 hours for me to get it back. Once I receive it, I'm going to call you or text you and let you know, hey, I've received your information. I'm going to start putting you in our system so that you can start accepting shifts. We need to schedule a one-to-one meeting. We can do that the same day, next day, whatever works for your schedule. Whenever you come in, the things that we're going to work on, we're going to do a drug test. We're going to go over your tax forms. We're going to go over your bank information, any additional paperwork. Do I need driver's license, social security card, car insurance, TB skin test, any certifications, CNA, medical assistant, CPR, any of that stuff that I didn't get during your hiring information, I need to make sure that I get it then. We'll also go ahead and schedule your 90-day review because, again, that's when we get to do your colonial life policies. That's when you get to start earning your paid time off. So we want to make sure that we go ahead and get that on the books for 90 days. And then you can start accepting shifts. We have a little roadmap that we give you guys for what to expect in your first 90 days, how to make more money and make the most of your 90 days. So again, complete your orientation quiz, complete your signature for new hire form. Once I get back your background check, we're going to schedule your one-to-one. In your one-to-one, these are the things that we're going to work on. If you have questions about any of that, you can always let me know up front, and then you're ready to work. Awesome. Thank you for attending orientation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. We're so excited to have you here. We know that you're going to be a great fit for us. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please give us a call at the office, 334-744-7100. We look forward to talking to you guys again soon.